The thing that I love most about Bali is that the culture and tradition is alive here. It's not something that you speak of necessarily in the past. It's something that you see every day in active form. And I think that's really special.
And welcome back to Bali Insiders podcast. Hi, Em.
Hi, Karlie.
So we've got a special guest on today, Sara.
Yes, Sara is such an interesting woman, and I think everyone's going to love this conversation. She is one half of the Soulshine retreat and hotel group in Ubud.
Yes, so if you don't know Soulshine, for starters, after this episode, you're going to, and you're going to want to take a look at it. It's an amazing property in Ubud with really valuable philosophies behind it. They hold retreats there. It's super interesting, and we're going to share the evolution of Soulshine and what to expect from a visit or a retreat there with you today.
Welcome, Sara. Thank you so much for joining us on the Bali Insiders podcast today.
Me. I'm really excited to be here.
We're excited to have you.
Very excited. So firstly, we're going to start with our Fast Five. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready for you guys.
Okay. So when did you first visit Bali?
I first visited Bali in 2010 on a vacation with a girlfriend. A long time ago.
Yeah. Girls trip.
Yeah.
I know, 2010 doesn't seem like that long ago, but then you go, oh, actually, yes.
13 years ago.
Yeah. What's your favorite area of Bali?
My favorite area of Bali is Ubud.
Beautiful. What's your favorite restaurant in Bali?
Well, I'm biased, and I'm going to say my restaurant, Soulshine. But I would say favorite restaurant to eat with my son is Milk and Madu. Favorite date restaurant is either Damaria or Yuki's.
Oh,
yes. With my husband.
Yes.
So, I like the nods I'm getting from you guys.
Like, I love those too. And what's your favorite local food?
Well, I love like a good bakso. And then of course, like everyone loves the classic like nasi goreng.
Oh yeah.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong. Love it. And what do you love most about Bali?
The thing that I love most about Bali is that the culture and tradition is alive here. It's not something that you speak of necessarily in the past. It's something that you see every day in active form. And I think that's really special when you're here to experience that.
Good answer, actually. We haven't had that answer yet.
Yeah. And so it just gave me shivers.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
Yeah. It's not, anyways, we can talk more about that.
We can talk more
That's what
about
I really
that.
love about Bali. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that weaves into your story that we're going to get to. So before we hear about all of the amazing things happening at Soulshine and all about Soulshine, can you just take us back a bit and tell us what happened in your life to lead you to this life in Bali?
That's a good question, and it's a windy road, but when you reflect back on it, it totally makes sense. But I grew up in Canada. I professionally became a registered nurse. I worked as a nurse for 10 years. I moved to California to travel nurse, which was my dream. I thought I was going to travel the world through some sort of medical profession. And my passion always, though, has been to connect with people and to inspire people to be their best selves. And I found that calling in nursing. And then I ended up meeting my husband, Micheal Franti, who's a musician. And we always knew we wanted to do something together. And we ended up creating a nonprofit called Do for the Love. And so what we do, it's actually 10 years old this year, which is amazing.
Congratulations.
It's really special. One of those things too, when you think back and you're like, oh my gosh, we're 10 already.
Yep.
But what we do is we send adults and children who are dying to live concerts. And it was this perfect alchemy of my professional career in healthcare and his music career coming together. And what we always would do is like, people would say, well, how did a nurse and a musician get together? And it was like, well, in everything that we do, our mission and our goal is to make people feel significant. So whether you're in an ER, everyone's wearing the same hospital gown. You don't know if they're like the CEO of a billion-dollar company or if they're an unhoused resident. And my husband on stage looks in the audience and everyone's the same.
Yeah.
And so I was running Do for the Love and doing public speaking and women's leadership. And my husband actually had founded Soulshine, which was a retreat oasis in Bali. and we would come here and host retreats. And then a few years later, we found ourselves in 2020, and there was a pandemic. And by way of necessity, I was asked to help take over Soulshine and help basically carry it through a really dire time in the world and in hospitality. And so
you got pulled into the hospitality field at the worst time ever to be in hospitality.
Pretty much. I'm pretty much a savior in that sense. Like I came and saved it. But that's how we ended up. And, Micheal always wanted to live in Bali, and I never wanted to live in Bali. We would come here. We would do work for 4 weeks. We were just so busy in North America, traveling, getting to the next gig. I had my other commitments. And we would come here, and all I thought Bali was Potato Head, coup d'etat, and Monkey Forest Road. That's all I thought it was. And I didn't understand. I was like, how could anyone, where do you get underwear? Where would someone with an American sizing, get underwear? I just didn't understand it. And then we found ourselves choosing to stay, which is a big part of the last 3 years of my life that I'm happy to share today. So that's how we found our way to Bali, living here full time.
Full time. So it was the COVID. It was
the COVID. We are like a classic silver lining story of we happened to be in Bali when we flew on February 25th of 2020. And I remember checking in San Francisco, and they were like, just don't fly through South Korea or China and you'll be fine. And then, within 2 weeks, the whole world shut down.
Yeah.
And Micheal and I, we had this family meeting, which consisted of me and Micheal. And we had to have a talking stick because we kept talking over each other because there was all these scary letters coming from the embassy. And we were like, what we do with my healthcare background, I was like, Micheal, there's no such thing as a bubble. As soon as you get a coffee, your bubble is burst.
Yeah. And
I was like, we need to go home. And Micheal was like, it's always been my dream to live here. I want to be here. And we have this property. And he was like, if you want to go, then we're going to go. And so we booked these tickets to leave. And so I told Micheal, I said, let's stay for 2 weeks. Let's figure out what we'll do with Soulshine. Let's see what other people are doing. Let's assess the situation. And then we'll go back to San Francisco and figure it out. And then 2 days before our flight, I looked at Micheal and I was like, okay, let's stay. And we were sneaking into this sports club because it was closed, but we knew the owner. And so we'd go play basketball every morning. During this was a fresh lockdown. And I said, okay, let's stay. And we give it to this big high five. And he's like, we're either making the worst decision of our lives or we're cheating life as we know it. And every day for the next year, I would look at him, we'd wake up in the morning and I would say, remember that time I almost got us on an airplane? Thank God.
What was I thinking?
What was I thinking? And the beauty of that was that we were able to re-envision Soulshine, our family life. We got to, you hear these stories of everybody was go, go, go in constant fight or flight.
Yeah.
And yes, it's been the most stressful years of our lives, but it's also been the happiest years of our lives.
We say the same thing. We always say those years are two of the best years of our lives because of the reestablishment of, just a little bit of down and family time and really thinking about, okay, what's life going to look
and what life could look like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing for us, is that we didn't have the space before to reimagine what life could be. And this just gave us the space. Again, very stressful. We had lots of nights of anxiety, but it still gave us the space of we just were forced to reevaluate. We had no other choice.
So talk us through those 2 years. What did they look like? Because you guys actually got bigger during those 2 years.
Yes. So we had an expansion that was happening in place. So Soulshine, historically, Micheal founded it in 2008. It opened in 2011 as a retreat oasis. And so it was a 16-room boutique resort retreat that people would come in and host retreats. So it was more like a container of where people would come and host retreats. And Micheal and I would also come and host our own retreats there. And we were full, 48 weeks of the year. And so we had already started this expansion to increase the rooms, create our bigger yoga shala. But the vision of what it was going to be in 2019 and early 2020 is completely different than what it now has ended up to be. So when the lockdown happened, we of course put a pause on the construction. We had shells of a building in place. And Micheal and I being there, we were just like, oh my gosh, we have such strong brand values in ourselves. And everything that Micheal and I do outside of Soulshine is a true reflection of who we are as a family. We have a family mantra. It's be your best, serve the greater good, rock out wherever you are. And we do that in everything. It's our nonprofit, in Michael's music, in my public speaking, in Michael's merch. And so we were like, we want to amplify that more here at Soulshine. And so we were able to re-envision what we wanted these shells to be built out to be. And we're able to amplify our brand values. So before, it was a beautiful space where people would come in and just host their own sort of retreats. And now we've relaunched as a completely new business, I would say. We're actually Soulshine Bali Resort, and it's a sound and wellness resort.
Right.
So rather than retreat.
So you had a complete different
A shift.
Completely
like a
different
full
shift. And it's just like really exciting for us to be able to do that. And it was a huge risk. But it was, we had Michael's bass player, actually, he came to visit us in Bali, and he stood out on the side of the rice fields, and he said, he like looked up and he's like, Sara, what made you guys want to go so big? And I just looked at him and I said, it just felt like the right thing to do. And I think that's the beauty of what we've created, is it was just so intuitive. And I think there's that flow, which we've talked about.
Just that natural progression of where it led you.
Yeah.
There. And we just had that conversation just off camera about that's something that Bali really allows.
Yeah.
Obviously you had the time during COVID, but it also, allows that freedom and growth and flow that is really unusual and unique.
Yeah. It's like things just happen.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah. I feel like, especially in Bali, and I think, we talk about the energy of the island, and if your intention is pure and your intention is good, the energy of the island will support your success, will
Mama
amplify,
Bali will
take care of you.
Yeah.
But I think that's true no matter where you are in the world. It's like flow comes from intention. And if your intention is truly rooted in like believing, like I often say, like, I think I've heard other people say this, but it's like every cell of my body believed that what we were doing was the right thing to do. And it was almost like I would visualize the end, I could see the end, and it just felt so good. And I think that was that flow that I was talking about, you know? And I think being on this island, it's so magical because you're also inspired by so many other people who are also following these intuitive feelings or like dreams.
So many different fields.
Yeah.
So Soulshine now, people can stay
Yes.
as retreats, but still also as a resort.
Yes.
now.
So we are a 33-room luxury sound and wellness resort that you can also continue to host your retreats at. We have beautiful amenities for these teachers. We have 3 yoga shalas. And then you can also come and do your own a la carte retreat, like a vacation package.
Oh,
So if you want a spa-focused retreat, or if you want something that's more cultural, something that's more adventure, our team will curate that for you.
Amazing.
We have yoga every morning for in-house guests. You can also just pop in, stay overnight if you want to do a little mini retreat up in Ubud if you don't have a lot of time. And then something that we're launching, which we're very excited about, is Soulshine retreats. And so historically, Micheal and I have hosted our own retreats that we call Soul Rocker retreats. And they're music and yoga retreats. And Micheal and I believe that you can have ultra transformative experiences, but you can also go and like dance it out on it with a DJ at night, or have a margarita by the pool, or go down the water slide.
Yeah, it's
Amazing.
not just
Balance.
all the
balance. I feel like
I like it.
Yeah, there's like a time and
My
a place
kind of
for
retreat.
everything, but it's not in me and Michael's lifestyle or in our practice. Like we believe in moderation. And so like we kind of joke and say like, you don't have to come at Soulshine. We're not just going to feed you a peanut and like make you scrub the toilet with a toothbrush, like we also know that people's time is really limited. It's expensive to travel. It's an investment. When you travel, you have to make a lot of commitments at home, get pet care or child care, whatever it is. And so we want to make sure that when you come and stay at Soulshine, it's this really like all-encompassing holiday for you, retreat for you. So we're 100% healthy 90% of the time. So
I like that. 100% healthy, 90% of the time.
So
That's so good. My
Yeah.
husband will try and agree with that. He'll be like, that's what we do. I'm like, no.
yeah. Sometimes we go down to 80%. Just depends on the day.
Yeah.
But we're excited about the Soulshine retreats because we're going to be creating more retreats that fall under our brand values, which is music, and you have movement, body movement. It's really important for us to teach you about the cultural aspects of Bali, for you to know where you are. You're a guest on the island. That's why we've fallen in love with Bali. So we want to give you this really all-encompassing retreat experience. So we get to, when we host our retreats, we get to infuse it with me and Michael's sort of
Yeah, so
flair.
it's retreats with a side of rock and roll, yeah?
Yeah, totally.
Amazing.
I've seen some of the videos
Yes,
and
exactly.
I was like, oh wow, like those
Yeah.
people are having a very good time.
Yeah, and they're having life-altering experiences, and
Yeah.
it's cool to know that you don't have to be in pain. You don't have to suffer
Yes.
To
to
have a
like feel
change.
re-inspired and to have a change and to tap in and to fill your tank. And Mike and I really we want people to feel like they're feeling inspired and their souls are shining so that they can go back home and inspire other people to be their best selves.
Bali Insiders podcast is proudly sponsored by Lighthouse Studios right here in Bali.
This space has been specifically designed for entrepreneurs, podcasters, coaches, and educators of all kinds. You can record podcasts just like ours, as well as masterclasses, social media content, and so much more.
They have awesome customizable studios to choose from. And most importantly, they take care of absolutely everything. The cameras, the microphones, the lights, even if you wish, the editing. They make it so easy.
And as well as the studios, they have a co-working cafe and some of the best food and coffee on the island of Bali. We highly recommend that you come in for a tour and have a chat about how you can create your own epic video and audio content.
You can visit them on Instagram at Lighthouse Studios Bali or jump on their website, wearelight.house.
Yeah, a different concept of retreat. I think when you think often of retreats, you're like, removing so much from your life.
Yeah.
And then,
But you're coming and adding a bit of fun and adding a balance.
Yeah, you don't have to give up anything that you love. Like people will say like, well, do you have coffee? Yeah, we have great coffee. But if you want to come and do like gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, you can do that in our restaurant. If you want to do raw, you can do that in our restaurant. And if you don't and you want to have a fried chicken burger, you can do that in our restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is all about choice in it as well.
Yeah.
Because people go through those journeys in
Yeah.
in different ways. And then I also saw you calling out on your Instagram the other day for professionals of all fields. Are you a professional in anything?
Yes.
We want more retreats.
I love that you saw that too. I was like, yeah, and the reason why I did that is because we're launching Soulshine Retreats, and these retreats are going to be touching on every aspect. So for example, our Soul Rocker Retreats is you come and hang out with Micheal Franti and Sara Franti, so they're fans of ours. So the vision for this is that we would have retreats with like writers. We would have a retreat with rock photographers if you're interested in photography. We would do a women's retreat that's just foundational yoga. And so we'd have a very diverse offering of retreats. And what's cool is that the retreat industry has completely transformed too. It's not about yoga anymore.
No.
Not that yoga is dying or out of style, but we had just a few months ago, we had 3 retreats that people were hosting themselves at Soulshine, and not a single one was yoga.
Yeah,
because people are seeking community.
Yes.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest travel trend happening right now.
Yeah.
That's exactly right, that people want to get together with like-minded people and do things that they're interested in or they enjoy or they feel like they need to improve on. So did you get any offers?
Yeah, we got some really great inquiries. I have some other people that I have my eye on that I know that want to collaborate with us, and people that are just like value aligned, that resonate with the fact that you can have a DJ playing by the pool at 5 o'clock and it's not going to ruin the vibe. It's actually going to amplify the experience. And I know that that's not what everybody wants, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really cool. Like that's the cool thing about Bali is that you can find whatever you are drawn to here. And so we're just another slice of the pie.
So what about if people just want to drop in to
Yeah, great question. Yeah. So with our expansion, we opened a new pool club called Stay Human. It's an extension of our restaurant. So if you want to come in and hang out by the pool, we have a beautiful rice field view.
Take the water slide down.
You can come and do that. One of our commitments to being in Bali as guests on the island is that we will not build on 100% of our land. And so we'll always maintain 50 to 40% of our land rice fields. And so we actually, 50% of our land right now is organic rice fields. So if you want to come and like walk through the rice fields and learn how to plant rice and just keep that tradition, you can do that at Soulshine too. So
I love that.
Yeah, it's really important to Micheal and I. And
I wish more visitors to the island had that philosophy. I think, particularly in Canggu.
Yeah, it's hard. It's like space is limited in the area, and
it's just like there's a lot of areas where we're losing the, you know,
The nature especially.
Yeah.
and
Especially.
what Bali is all about and the vibe, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And locals are losing their land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really important. That's
It's
awesome.
it's a complex
It is very
conversation
complex.
that requires a whole other
Yes.
podcast.
Not for the podcast, not for this episode.
But if you want to experience rice fields that are easy accessible, you can come to Soulshine and do
Amazing.
that.
Yeah. Excellent. And what about concerts and things like that? People can
Yeah,
drop
so
in.
we're doing some events here. If there's anyone who wants to do an event in Soulshine, they can come and pitch us.
I like
Again,
it.
That's
we're-
good to know.
Yeah.
Yes, let's chat.
Again, it's all about like value alignment, brand alignment. But it's cool because we've built the Togetherness Lounge, which is an event space. Michael's done some concerts there. We had a couple events there the last few weeks. And it's this really just awesome little, well, it's a big lounge, not a little lounge, but a lounge where, again, you create community, people come together, they dance. And with Do It for the Love, our nonprofit, and what I saw in healthcare is that music just brings people together. And so you'll be at a concert or in a music space and that one song comes on that everybody knows
Everybody's
the
up.
words. And all of a sudden, everybody becomes your best friend.
Yes.
And it's like, how cool is that? That you don't know that person's name, but you guys are singing the same words, you're dancing, you might even put your arm around them. And maybe the words mean something different to that person, but in that moment, you're together.
You're
And that's
aligned
cool.
there.
Absolutely.
Oh, so
Yeah.
nice. So does this mean Bali's home now?
Yeah, Bali's definitely home. Bali has, I'm just so grateful. You know, one of your questions on the Fast Five was something like, what would be your tip
Oh yeah.
of visiting Bali?
That's
And
your last
Is it
one.
my last
That's
one?
your
Okay,
last-
so
your
don't
last one.
answer
So
it
don't
yet?
tell your tip yet.
All
But
right.
we do want to know about the future here. Are you staying? Are you expanding?
I would love to
Are they-
stay. I'd love to stay. I definitely see ourselves here full time for the next 5 years. It's definitely somewhere where it's important for us to be able to give back to, leave a positive footprint. But yeah, we see, like, I just, it was, when I first moved here, it was hard to make friends because everybody was locked down. So I'm looking forward to making more friends on the island and making more connections and just finding like a supportive entrepreneurial community. And I'm in a new space of hospitality that as a female entrepreneur, I wasn't in. And I think you guys know as entrepreneurs, it's a very lonely space to be in sometimes.
Yeah.
So it is cool that a lot of people that live here are in the entrepreneurial space and you can find your little pocket of people that you can connect
I was
with
talking to someone about this yesterday about you come in and you're an entrepreneur and then you build your business here, but then you actually have so many people relying on you that, and I imagine during COVID, that was a big, probably why you had to take it on.
Yeah, well, we had, when the pandemic hit, everything that Michael and I did folded. Concerts folded, our nonprofit folded, public speaking folded, hospitality. And it's funny because Michael would always joke and say, I built Soulshine to be my backup if something happened and I couldn't sing anymore. And he was like, what the heck? Both things folded at the same time. And a lot of people at that moment were like, oh, this is amazing. I get to stay home and I get to chill out. And me and Michael were like, how are we going to pay our mortgage? How are we going to pay our health insurance? And we had, at that time, now we have almost 100 staff at Soulshine, team members. Then we had 44, and we had people on salary in America. We had our nonprofit on salary. So we had a lot of team members that were relying on us, and that is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And when we did the evaluation for Soulshine in particular, we knew immediately when we did our projections, it's like, do you turtle? Do you shut down completely? What do you do? The most important thing was that we're not letting go of any of our team members. And we kept all of our team members employed. We were giving them food packs every month. We made the commitment to give them food packs until we were 100% back in business. So we actually just stopped the food packs. I think it was in December.
Wow.
Because some of them were the only family members in the compound working.
Yeah.
And they would say, we just feel really proud that we can put on our uniform and go when a lot of people are at home. And so I think we also reopened in 2020 when Bali was allowing businesses to reopen under specific certification. And we did it, it's funny because people will say, oh, that's great. You guys are doing so great. I'm like, we're actually operating at a loss right now. But it was really good for the morale of our team.
Yes. Yeah.
And that, again, it's just really important for us.
I always said the way through is the people who reopened in 2020, I think it was much easier. The rest of the road was much easier because it was already open. Whereas if you stayed closed for 2 years, it's a much harder
being in the tropics too, like
the tropics, the stuff out of, they're out of the practice, they're out of the habit. So I think that was a super clever.
Yeah, it was really great. And we've doubled our team in size over the last 6 months. So we've opened 17 new rooms to make us the 33-room boutique resort, and there's 17 luxury rooms. And we now have a spa, we have 2 restaurants. And so it's been challenging. Like, it's been really busy for me for the last 6 months. I really appreciate when people look on Instagram and they're like, oh my gosh, you're open, amazing. And I'm like, this is like the hardest thing ever because now I have to make all the SOPs and like do that. But we just have such an incredible team. And the number one feedback we get from people who come and stay in Soulshine, the first one is how incredible your team is, which I'm just so grateful for. And then the second one is people just say like they just feel so relaxed and at home at Soulshine.
Nice.
And that's what we're trying to create, this space where you have all the luxuries of a Four Seasons, but you have the come as you are, homey vibe, the relaxed feeling. And so we're really proud about that.
So people can go there, they can retreat, your retreats or somebody else's retreats.
They can join one of our Soulshine retreats. We're launching our very first one in June. And then we'll be building those up. They can come on a Soul Rocker retreat. Micheal and I are hosting retreats in March. We have 3 back-to-back. It's the COVID push that we're doing. And then you can come and host your own retreat. So if you've always wanted to host a retreat in Bali, we are well versed in it. We create these like one-stop shop. We do everything for the host. We get a lot of feedback. Teachers say, I want to host a retreat, but I don't want to be a tour guide.
Yeah.
I'm like, no worries. Like, our team does that. We have team members who will just take care of all that kind of stuff so that your guests have a really beautiful experience and you get to just focus on hosting. So we're really excited.
And people can just come and have a stay themselves.
Yeah, and just
great
stay.
honeymoon.
Yeah, we have to have you guys come and stay. And we just had an engagement at Soulshine last week, and it's pretty special. It's pretty
amazing.
beautiful.
Well, we'll also make sure that we put everything in our show notes so anyone listening can
know where to find
you.
Oh yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah.
So it's time for your tip.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, I guess my tip would be that if you're coming to visit Soulshine, come with a heart of gratitude. And I don't want to sound cheesy about it, but it sounds a little cheesy.
It's okay. From the books.
I knew you were going to say that. Well, I want to put my little disclaimer because it's funny because as soon as you say you're an Ubud, everybody wants to put you in this pocket.
Yeah.
And Micheal and I are disruptors in the wellness industry. Like, we are disruptors. We are redefining what wellness is. We are making wellness accessible to all people. And so, yes, we are an Ubud. I love Ubud because the culture is alive.
Yes.
My child says he's Balinese. He goes to temple. He watches Barong YouTube videos every night. He speaks Balinese and Bahasa. It's like all of these things would have never happened if I was living anywhere else.
Yeah.
You know? It's because I'm living in Ubud, in the village of Mas. I'm integrated in the community. It's just such a special thing. And that's really cool because I grew up with a lot of heritage too. As a Canadian refugee, in a first generation Canadian, my parents came, they worked really hard to instill a lot of tradition and culture in a mosaic of a country. And it's really cool that my child gets to come and experience something.
And a completely different culture that you're experiencing with him.
And so I would say with that is like when I say come with with a heart of gratitude, it's like have openness to these experiences. I would say don't just come and like go to the beach club. Go do that because that's really fun and I love doing that. But go also like actively visit a temple and participate in ceremony and integrate into your culture. Have that, because the cool thing about the Balinese community is that they want you to be part of it.
Yes.
And that is so unique. It's like, come participate in ceremony.
Yeah.
Like, come and understand what we're doing, what we're teaching. And I would say that's what makes Bali magic because there's a lot of beautiful places in the world. There are. And there's a lot of places that we all enjoy visiting. And I think that's what makes Bali unique. It's the culture. It's what makes it different than any island in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know? And the openness of the culture.
And the openness of the culture. Yeah. So come and experience all of it.
Yes.
Whether you want to live here or you want to visit here. So
all of it. That's the tip, is experience all of it. And
I'll help you. I'll curate your holiday.
Yes.
Between me and you two, we'll like curate the ultimate.
We've got you. Bali Insiders Retreat coming up.
Yes. You just did it.
Amazing.
There you go. Done.
Send your asking for inquiries. I am asking for trouble. I've already seen my calendar this year.
Bang, 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 bang.
Well, thank you so much, Sara. We love Soulshine. We love watching what you guys are doing there. And I think we're super blessed to have you guys as part of our community here in
Thanks.
Bali. And we definitely have our eye on you guys watching everything that's going to unfold
Oh,
there.
thanks. I got goosebumps. That really means a lot because I know that you guys are really integrated members of the community. You guys are like the OGs of Bali and I'm a newbie. I've only been here 3 years full time. And so it really means a lot to hear that from people who've been here on the island for a
we
while.
really
You're
love
doing
it.
great.
And we think
Amazing
it's
things.
great addition to
Yeah.
to the Ubud area.
Thanks.
So that was amazing.
Unbelievable. She is such a vibe and so inspiring. I love it.
I know. I can't wait to get back to Soulshine and slide down
Oh
that
my
slide
gosh.
down there.
We're going.
Going for a concert to rock on.
Yes. Yes.
So we hope you guys loved that as much as we loved hearing about it.
Yes. And as always, check out our Insta, our socials, our YouTube channel.
Yes. Subscribe.
Please subscribe. And we will obviously put everything in the show notes from today's episode because I think there is a lot to be included.
Yeah, and let us know if it's inspired you to take a little visit or a retreat or a holiday to Soulshine yourself. It certainly did for me.
Absolutely.
So until next time, guys, follow us on our socials and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new episode.
Bye.